In this video we're going to take a look at the Japanese scale, the Hirajoshi scale, which as just played there we find in the Queen song, the Prophet song. Now the Hirajoshi scale is being made kind of famous by the guitarist Marty Friedman. Now on a side issue, you need to listen to the Dragon's Kiss album that he did back in the 80s along with the Jason Becker album Perpetual Burn. Two brilliant guitar albums. They both appeared. Jason Becker appeared on Marty Friedman's album and Marty Friedman appeared on Jason Becker's album. If I was ever stranded on a desert island and I got to pick 10 albums, they would be two of the albums that I would take with me, which is a side issue, but you need to listen to them because they're absolutely brilliant. Now when we look at the Japanese scale, sometimes you can think with exotic scales, do I really need to learn them? Is it going to be a big headache of relearning new shapes? Not really. Basically it's the minor scale with two notes missing out of it, which we're going to look at. We look at why the Prophet song uses it and how, and we'll look at that. I did tune my E string down to D for that to play that, so I'll tune it back up to E. So if we look at the A minor scale, which most people know, so you see the diagram on the screen. If you look the Hirajoshi scale up online, you tend to find this diagram. Good luck with learning it like that. I think the way I'm explaining it makes life a lot easier. So if we take that A minor scale and we are basically going to miss out the 4th and the 7th note, which gives us a 5-note scale. So technically this is like a Japanese pentatonic scale, because it's pent being 5, so it's got 5 notes in it, and it is a Western translation of the Japanese scale, if that makes sense. And it is interesting because it has that Japanese flavour, even though you're using all the notes out of the minor scale but missing 2 out. So the 4th note is going to be missed out, so you're going 1, 2, 3, miss that note out, go to the 5th, 6th, miss the 7th note out, root so. So when you play through that scale, because you're forced to miss them notes out, it has that very oriental Japanese type of feel to it, which can come in really handy for making things a little bit more interesting, which we'll look at shortly. So practice that. Now there is another way of being able to look at it, which is doing this shape. Like that. Then go to the next string, the D string, and do the same thing again. Then go to the B string. So we have and it is amazing how that actually sounds Japanese, even though you're using the minor scale but just missing some notes out. And that's an important thing to remember with scales and modes, that sometimes you just alter in one note. It'll be one, like the harmonic minor scale is a minor scale with one note altered. So you're not having to relearn a whole bunch of new shapes, you're just taking the shapes you already know and altering them. So when it comes to modes, the modes apply. So A minor or Aeolian is still the root note. Your B, if you use that as your root note, you're going to be doing Lochgrain. You've got the root note for Ionian on the major scale, C. Then you haven't got that note, so Dorian isn't in there. Your next note would be the Phrygian root note, and you have Lydian as well. So if you know your modes, you will know what I'm talking about. If not, check out the videos of me explaining how to do the modes. So how do we know that Queen used that in the Prophet song? Because at first, I remember looking at that years ago and I just assumed it was in D. I just made that assumption because the notes are in the D minor scale and never really thought of it as a Japanese scale, even though it sounds very Japanese. So if we start our root note on the D, and we're going to use that technique like that. If you go through starting on the D root note there, then like that. We hear it quite, that note being the same as that note. It then goes to B flat. So that takes us into looking at the chords that are available in the Hirajoshi scale. Now we've been working in A minor. So if you look at the group of notes that you have, you've got the A, B, C, E and F. So from them chords we see that we have the A minor and we also have an F. We have an E5 as well. But when it comes to B or the E, there is no E minor. We can do an E suspended 4 or an E5. Because of the two notes that are missing, if we're going to think in terms of the Japanese scale, we kind of have to alter the way the chords are, which becomes quite interesting because we've got A minor, we have the F. You can change the E minor to it that we would normally go to in the key of A minor and do an E suspended 4. We've got a C major 7 thing going on. So there's a number of which we can play around with, and we get a different feel than we would normally get. Now if we take this shape which I would call my E Phrygian shape, which is within A minor, if we alter that to fit the Hirajoshi scale, what we would end up with is this. So technically I'm thinking in that, I've changed it so that I'm thinking in terms of E Phrygian, but using the group of notes from D Hirajoshi. Sorry. Again, you've got a very Eastern sound. And if we mix that up with chords, plot out chords, and you'll come up with some interesting chord voicings. So as always, thank you for watching. I hope that helps you take a look at the Hirajoshi scale and come up with some interesting ideas around it. And we will look at other Japanese scales because there is more, and it'll be quite interesting to look at them ones. So as always, thank you for watching.